Guess who wants to get back on the ballot? The All About Nothing podcast. That's who. We were crowned Best Local Podcast in 2023, took runner-up in 2024, and now we're coming for that top spot again in the Post and Courier's Free Times Best of Columbia 2025. It's nomination season, and we need your help. Head over to postandcourier.com/free-times or follow the link in the show notes and drop our name like it's hot in the Best Local Podcast category. You've got until April 30th, so tell your friends, tell your grandma, tell your dog with an iPad, whoever's got internet. The All About Nothing podcast, because if talking about nothing were an Olympic sport, we'd already have a gold medal and a sponsorship from Waffle House. Summer is heating up with Everplay Sports and Social League. Get in on the fun with Super Rec Kickball Tuesdays at M Avenue Ballpark, or join the classic Wednesday or Thursday night kickball at both M Avenue and B Avenue. Prefer volleyball? We've got indoor mix and match Sundays at Providence Park, Monday indoor at Tri-City, and sand volleyball Tuesdays and Thursdays at Pollywog. Swing into softball Sundays or Mondays at T.S. Martin, or go big with hardball Wednesdays at Seven Oaks Park. Like a strike of fun? Hit bowling Tuesdays at Bolero, or toss some bags with cornhole Wednesdays at Jay's Corner. Score goals with turf soccer Mondays at Recreation Athletics, and Wednesday soccer at B Avenue and Bray Park. And don't miss Pickleball Monday at Casey Pickleball Complex. Registration is open now through May 21st at everplaysocial.com. Also mark your calendars for the 10th Masters of Putt Putt, Friday, August 22nd. Registration by August 21st. Everplay, your league, your social life, your summer of fun. Visit everplaysocial.com for registration and details.
The All About Nothing podcast may have language and content
that isn't appropriate for some.
Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, Nothingers, to the All About Nothing podcast. This is episode number 252. I am Barrett Gruber. I would normally be joined by either Zach King or Bill Fry or Bill Kimler or me Bland or whomever, but this week has sort of been an off kind of week, mostly because we did celebrate the Easter holiday just a few days ago. So this episode is going to be just me. So take that how you want. It's been a few weeks since we've done just a me episode, but it's also been several years since I just did my own episodes. I mean, like when I started this was back in 2017, and it was just me sitting here for 25, 30, 45 minutes doing a running monologue of things, and didn't have a whole lot of listeners then. We have a fair number of listeners now, so thank you very much for tuning in. Please subscribe and share the show, however, if this is the first time you've checked in. That's how we get new listeners. Also, if you could, please consider supporting the show financially by visiting theallaboutnothing.com and proudly calling yourself a true nothinger. We will have more details on that at the end of the program. If you can't do that, please give us a 5-star review, a like, and follow us across all of social media. You can find links again at theallaboutnothing.com. Want to check out ZJZ Designs, because whether you're looking for a perfect graphic tee to show off your style or something unique to wear for any occasion, ZJZ Designs has you covered. From bold designs to creative prints, they offer a range of apparel that's all about making a statement. And if you love standing out in the crowd, check out their collection today at zjzdesigns.com. Trust me, you don't want to miss out what they have on in store. ZJZ Designs, where fashion meets fun, no matter the occasion. It is nominating season again. The Post and Courier's Free Times Best of Columbia and the All About Nothing podcast wants to become the best local podcast again. We won it back in 2023. So check out the link at the show notes, or you can check out the link at the top of our webpage and nominate the All About Nothing podcast for best local podcast. And prove you don't always have to be in a cult to win. This won't be a victory just for us. It'll be a victory for all of us that vote for us and nominate us. So, going to do a bit of a breakdown on the 14th Amendment here, because there is a Supreme Court case that is going to be heard on May 15th. So I want to talk about the 14th Amendment and Donald Trump's attack on birthright citizenship, and just sort of go in depth on that here in just a few minutes. So going to do that. But first, it's time again to check in with Sarah Jane Byers for Common Sense. She has decades of experience in the classroom, ministry, and life in South Carolina. Sarah Jane has seen and done it all. From raising a family to shaping minds, she's got a perspective that only comes from living through it. So let's hear what pearls of wisdom she's got for us today.
President Teddy Roosevelt was an avid outdoorsman, traveled the U.S. far and wide. He discovered that our country had a number of unique natural features and significant historical sites that warranted preservation. During his tenure, the Antiquities Act was passed in 1906, setting aside such places under federal jurisdiction and conservation. As more and more locations were identified, the National Park Service was established in 1914. Currently, the National Park Service operates 433 sites throughout our country, providing recreation, education, conservation, and tourism, drawing 331 million visitors in the past year, 14 million from foreign countries. However, the federal government has been less than enthusiastic about their financial investment, which remains minimal, and now decreasing even more. In 1999, their budget was $2.2 billion. 24 years later, it is a merely $2.5 billion, despite ever-increasing numbers of visitors annually. Staff decreased 15% from 2011 to 2022, causing more facilities to close, and more losses further threaten even less access. The Trump administration is aggressively opposed to preservation of natural resources motivated only by profit made via businesses. National parks have proven to be a grand investment, converting their $2.5 billion budget into $55 billion of profit in 2024, but that just doesn't satisfy. He has plans for leasing public land to oil companies who already get $20 billion in subsidies from taxpayers yearly, and timber harvesting groups also. Mining operations want a piece of the pie as well. Selling off millions of acres of land is a very real possibility, too. National lands conduct their work using an incredibly small number of employees, about 20,000 workers for 433 sites and 85 million acres of land. That's only an average of 46 staff per site if they were distributed equally. Volunteers are crucial to their operations. Their contributions are: they lead or support education and public-facing programs. They maintain or rebuild trails and historic buildings. They conduct research or monitor wildlife to preserve our natural resources. They help families make memories happen as a campground host. They teach others about the park and swear in new junior rangers in the visitor center, support libraries, archives, and museums in parks to preserve our cultural resources, produce art while staying in a park as an artist in residence, educate train travelers on the natural and cultural heritage of a region through the Trails and Rails program. The sorely underfunded and understaffed parks are hit even harder by the Trump administration. Since February 14, 2025, 1,000 staff were fired with a demand to cut 5% of all staff. Leases for 34 buildings were canceled, including the science headquarters in Colorado with 100 employees there. All these changes and shifts in priorities severely impact our natural resources, adding massive pollution of air, water, and land, destroying wildlife habitat, including the possible loss of endangered species, and a definite deprivation of recreation and education for American people and visitors from other countries. Conscientious parents and adults who value more than just money benefit greatly from these parks. Many spend their entire vacation time exposing their children or educating themselves to places such as the Grand Canyon, the rocky shores of Arcadia, watching the herds of bison and geysers in Yellowstone, the majestic peak of Half Dome in Yosemite, the desert beauty of Death Valley, the massive trees in Sequoia, the glaciers in Glacier, the alligators and birds in the Everglades, just to mention a few. Exposure to the actual sites of history in Boston, Appomattox Courthouse, Andersonville, Chaco Culture in New Mexico, Cumberland Gap, and many others, so they don't only read about them, they can actually envision the event, viewing artifacts associated with their experience. Many parks provide campsites, cabins, and lodges, allowing us to live in a more primitive fashion for a short while, learning that the end and be-all are not on screens of computers, phones, and televisions. Activities like hiking, fishing, bird watching, swimming in lakes, cooking on a fire, kayaking, canoeing, whitewater rafting, and many more demonstrate the excitement and fun nature provides. Children are taught an appreciation for nature, how to care for it, and what it provides for all of us. They witness diversity and reality among plants, animals, and people from all corners of the world that our urban or suburban life cannot provide. Studies have proven that spending time in natural areas reduces anxiety and tension, warding off depression in children and adults, a desperate need in our society. While business profit seems to be the sole driving force for the Trump administration, some things exceed anything money can buy. Those experiences and the pleasure, knowledge, and community we gain from national parks cannot be duplicated with any form of business. It is imperative that we actively do what we can to keep these treasures operating and preserved for our welfare and that of our progeny.
Thanks again to Sarah Jane Byers for our Common Sense Update. That's a diatribe that we do here exclusively on the All About Nothing podcast. Really appreciate Sarah Jane for letting us air her opinions on the podcast. I think it brings a wealth of information to the show, and I really appreciate Sarah Jane for that. She is a Columbia, South Carolina native, lifelong. She's got a bachelor's and master's degree in health, education, and biology. She also has a lay ministry degree from the University of South Theological Seminary. She has a doctorate in education leadership, as well as she has 44 years of experience teaching public high school. So just an extreme wealth of experience that is invaluable, especially when it comes to our podcast. Really appreciate her coming on and doing these things with us. So one of the things that I talked about before Sarah Jane came on is that I wanted to do an episode about the unraveling or the attempted unraveling of the 14th Amendment. And this is basically Donald Trump's quest to redefine American citizenship. Well, Donald Trump and the people that he surrounds himself with. So in recent months, President Donald Trump has reignited a contentious debate by attempting to challenge the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. So as you probably know, this amendment is a cornerstone of American civil rights and guarantees citizenship to all individuals born in the United States. Trump's efforts to redefine this principle have sparked legal battles, political discourse, and concerns about what the future of American citizenship is going to be. So why is President Trump targeting the 14th Amendment? What are the historical underpinnings of this constitutional provision, and what could be the ramifications of altering its interpretation? Let's explore these questions in depth. So, to understand the current controversy, we have to revisit the origins of the 14th Amendment. Ratified in 1868 in the aftermath of the Civil War, the amendment was redesigned. Not really. The amendment was designed to address the status of formerly enslaved individuals and to establish clear definition of American citizenship. The Citizenship Clause of the 14th Amendment states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. So this clause was a direct response to the infamous Dred Scott versus Sanford case decision in 1857, which held that African Americans could not be citizens. But by enshrining birthright citizenship in the Constitution, the 14th Amendment aimed to ensure that all individuals born on U.S. soil, regardless of race or parentage, were granted full citizenship rights. This principle, known as jus soli, or the right of the soil, has been a fundamental aspect of American identity for over 150 years. So the 14th Amendment has played a pivotal role in numerous landmark Supreme Court cases that have shaped American society. In the United States versus Wong Kim Ark in 1898, the court affirmed that children born in the United States to foreign parents are indeed U.S. citizens, reinforcing the doctrine of birthright citizenship. Beyond citizenship, the Equal Protection and Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, those clauses of the 14th Amendment, have been instrumental in cases such as Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, which ended racial segregation in public schools, and Obergefell and Hodges in 2015, which legalized same-sex marriage nationwide. So these decisions underscore the amendment's broad impact on civil rights and liberties, making any attempts to alter its interpretation a matter of significant consequence. President Trump's challenges to the 14th Amendment are not new. During his first term, he floated the idea of ending birthright citizenship through executive action, a proposal that faced widespread criticism and legal skepticism. Upon entering the office in 2025, Trump wasted zero time in advancing this agenda. On January 20th, 2025, he signed an Executive Order 14160 titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship. The order sought to reinterpret citizenship clause by denying automatic citizenship to children born in the United States to parents who were undocumented immigrants or on temporary visa status. Specifically, the order stipulated that children born after February 19, 2025, to mothers unlawfully present in the United States or to mothers in temporary legal status, such as student or tourist visas, would not be granted U.S. citizenship if the father was neither a U.S. citizen nor a lawful permanent resident. The administration justified this move by arguing that such individuals are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, a phrase from the 14th Amendment. However, this interpretation runs counter to long-standing legal precedent, particularly the Wong Kim Ark decision. The executive order faced immediate legal challenges. Multiple lawsuits were filed by states and civil rights organizations, leading to a federal judge's issuing of a preliminary injunction blocking its implementation. Judge John C. Koffner of the Western District of Washington described the order as blatantly unconstitutional. But despite these efforts, Donald Trump's administration has appealed the rulings, and the Supreme Court is scheduled to hear the arguments on the matter on May 15th, 2025. So Trump's push to redefine birthright citizenship aligns with his broader political strategy of appealing to nationalist sentiments and concern over immigration. By challenging the 14th Amendment, he taps into a segment of the electorate that views current immigration policies to be too lenient and believes that birthright citizenship incentivizes illegal immigration. This approach also serves to divert attention from other pressing issues and galvanizes his political base by portraying himself as a defender of the American sovereignty and values. Critics argue that such tactics sow division and undermine the inclusive principles upon which the nation was founded. Altering the interpretation of the 14th Amendment could have far-reaching implications. If birthright citizenship is denied to certain groups, it could result in significant population of stateless individuals born in the United States who lack the citizenship, leaving them without legal protections or access to essential services. Such a shift would not only contravene established legal precedent, but also challenge the nation's commitment to equal rights and due process. It could open the door to further erosion of civil liberties and set a precedent for redefining other constitutional protections. So the 14th Amendment stands as a testament to the American dedication to equality and justice. Efforts to undermine this provision threaten to unravel the progress achieved over the past century and a half. As debates continue and legal battles unfold, it's imperative for citizens to stay informed and engaged. The outcome of these challenges will shape the nation's identity and values for generations. There's not a whole lot that else can be said. This is mostly an attempt to undermine what is defining people as citizens in this country. And for 150 years, we've recognized anyone born or naturalized in the United States as being a citizen of this country. We've recognized that under the Constitution that due process is something that is afforded to everyone on soil, regardless of their immigration status, citizenship, visas, whatever. The United States fundamentally is a place of equality and justice for all. And ultimately, Donald Trump and his administration are attempting to undermine what it is to be an American, to be a citizen of this country, or even just to be a visitor to this country. It's extraordinarily dangerous. I have to believe that the people that voted for Donald Trump, while they want illegal immigration to stop, which it never will, we will always have some level, some percentage of people in the United States that are here illegally. It's part of being humans. Human nature is to migrate. We come from nomads. And ultimately, in the end, people are going to move. And there will always be opportunity to go from one country to another, regardless of how tall you build the walls or how many soldiers you put behind them. It's always going to be the case. The United States thrives on the migrants that come here and help and are paid for the work that they do. They pay their taxes. They pay into social services that they will probably never be afforded to them. This is the United States. This is the country we live in. It's hard to believe that we still have people in this day and time that are so centered on this idea of hate against people that are different from them. On a personal respect, recognizing that people I know will literally go into the Walmart and will count the number of brown and black people that they see, not purely out of curiosity, but because maybe they've given thought to potentially calling the ICE hotline, notifying them that they think that they're the people at the Walmart in West Columbia, South Carolina, that are here illegally. It's disturbing that someone would want to go to the effort of completely upending someone else's life that has made no impact on yours, purely based on the color of their skin or the language they speak, or perhaps the language they don't speak. It is disturbing. And for a lot of these people to call themselves Christians, to believe that they're following in the footsteps of Jesus, it doesn't make any sense to me. Not from the readings of the Bible that I have read many, many times. I was a practicing Catholic for many years. I have read through the Bible many, many times. And the actions and behavior of people that I know that consider themselves to be Christian, I am dumbfounded at how you came to that definition. I'm just dumbfounded. Anyhow, that is my take on what is going on with the 14th Amendment. So before we close out the show, I do have a couple of things that I did want to discuss. Donald Trump is now selling Trump 2028 merch on his website. So this either confirms that he is either serious about running, or it confirms that he really, really just wants to troll the Democrats and really the nation. An Ipsos poll indicated that 80% of voters do not want him to run for a third term. That was Republicans, Democrats, and independents. 80%. Currently, the president is polling somewhere in the high 30s to low 40s when it comes to his job or an approval on his job of how he's doing in respect to the economy. That's not good. He's basically completely blown away and wasted the entirety of his honeymoon phase of him becoming president again. Completely wasted it. It's gone. I mean, no president in history has seen approval ratings plummet as quickly as Donald Trump has. And you can deny it if you're one of his supporters. You can say that I'm wrong. You can say whatever you'd like. But in the end, this is the truth. Donald Trump is an unpopular president less than 100 days into his presidency. Constitution, of course, in the 22nd Amendment, does not allow for a president to run or to be elected to a third term. Can he run? Yeah, he can run for office. He can run for a third term. He can run for a fourth or fifth term. I mean, as long as his body holds out. But he can't be elected. He can't be sworn in for a third time and be president again. There are some potential paths to him becoming the president. He could potentially be elected as the vice president, and then whoever that president is could step aside almost immediately and be able to allow Donald Trump to ascend to the presidency for another term. He could be the Speaker of the House, and both the president and vice president could step aside, and then he could potentially become president by being sworn in and ascending to the presidency. There's really nothing that any of us can do to stop him from running for a third term. The Grim Reaper might. Maybe. But it really is what it is. I cannot imagine a scenario where Donald Trump, knowing that he can't be sworn in as the president based on an election, would really want to become the president again. Like, he's an old man. He's going to be 82 years old. Why not just let it go and retire? But I think I know the answer to that, and it's his vanity. It is his desire to be recognized. And that's why he recognizes Putin and Kim Jong-un as being such strong men, because they never have to relinquish their power. Putin can continue just to kill off everyone that opposes him in an election, or sentence them to life in prison in northern Siberia. But we have due process here in the United States that sort of prevents Donald Trump from being able to do that to people. And I know that right now things are bleak when it comes to these deportations. The fact that we are seeing American citizens being deported. We are seeing people that have not committed crimes being deported. People that have organized protests are being deported. They're being deported. It's such an odd world that we live in, and as another distraction, Donald Trump has now in the process, and he says at his own cost, that he is going to have installed on the White House ground, both on the north and south lawn, 2 beautiful flagpoles, 100 feet tall. Just to give you some perspective on that, the National Monument is 550 feet tall, give or take. So they won't be the tallest things in Washington, D.C., but you'll certainly be able to see them from almost anywhere. The White House already has a flagpole on it. It stands about 70 feet high on top of the, from the height, it's about 70 feet. And it's on top of the White House. And it has a very large American flag. Is there some fear in my mind that potentially Donald Trump wants flagpoles on the north and south lawn of the White House so that he has access to them? He does do a lot of crazy, wicked stuff with his hands and body against flags. It's a weird kink. I'm not here to kink shame him, but it is odd. So just, be aware. Also, this week saw that Dr. Oz, who, by the way, Dr. Oz is now the head of Medicare and Medicaid services. If a TV personality can be president of the United States, then a TV personality can definitely be the head of Medicare and Medicaid services, much to the demise of the actual programs and administrative state. Dr. Oz is now the head of Medicare and Medicaid services. And as his first act has somehow, and I don't know if this act now requires the act of Congress, but has somehow increased by 5% in payouts to providers. Now, first, that sounds like that's a great thing because providers are going to be paid more for the services that they do. I am not against that. I absolutely think that for some of the services that doctors provide, whether it's Medicare Part A in hospitals or Medicare Part B, some of the services that are provided, or even DMERC, Medicare Part D, which is mostly your durable medical equipment. I'm not against the idea that providers should be paid better for the services that they provide. Doctors, absolutely, nurses, things like that. Those services, I think, are invaluable and should be recognized as such, even under the single payer system that we have with Medicare, Medicaid included. But that's not what this 5% plus or minus increase is going to. This increase is going to the administrative costs of Medicare and Medicaid. And that only benefits the insurance companies that are currently under contract as the administrators for Medicare and Medicaid services. I worked for a company here in South Carolina for 15 years that was the administrator for Medicare and Medicaid here in South Carolina, as well as then it did expand into a couple other states, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee. So the administrative costs, the administrators are going to be paid an additional 5%. These people, these companies are already making billions on the administrative cost. Now that includes phone services for providers and patients, or Medicare patients. But the actual cost of administrating these has not gone up. Technology has gotten better. So the actual administrative cost, which has been recognized throughout the last 10 years as far as Medicare is concerned, the administrative cost of Medicare has gone down thanks to technology, computer systems, the availability of networks to move information back and forth, particular to patients. The administrative cost has gone down, but we're going to have an increase of 5% to the administrators that handle those Medicare contracts, those Medicaid contracts. 5% increase. The insurance companies are the ones that are the administrators of Medicare and Medicaid. And they do it at what is usually the lowest bid. So where Elon Musk and Doge and his Doge warriors are supposed to be fighting to prevent fraud and manipulation of the system to save taxpayers' monies, we've seen now an increase in the amount of money cost to transport Donald Trump back and forth from his White House to his Florida house and other clubs every weekend so that he can play golf. The cost of that goes up because it can. Donald Trump owns those resorts, and he gets to charge for all that have to be in his presence when he is on weekend vacations, I guess. We're about to hit the 100th day, and by the time this episode airs, we will, I think, April 31st. That's funny. April 30th is his 100th day. And in that 100 days, he will have taken pretty much close to a quarter or a third of his time in office will have been spent on his own golf resorts playing golf. That's what our president has been doing. That's what he wants to do. Why doesn't he just retire? Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of the All About Nothing podcast. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. Really appreciate it. That is episode number 252. Thank you. Also, real quick, want to thank Alex Avinger of Everplay Sports and Social for having Bill and I out to the kickball game for the last episode we did. That was a lot of fun. We are going to do that again. Actually, we're going to do that every season. We're going to do one kickball game every season where we are going to do the play-by-play. And so if you enjoyed that, we're going to do it again very, very soon. So Thank you again. Links to all of our past episodes, podcast platforms, merchandise, and social media are available at our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. And if you think our financial model of giving away content and entertainment is silly and you're in the giving mood, why not become an official Nothinger and support the show? Members get early access to this episode as well as exclusive content. You can visit members.theallaboutnothing.com, or you can find a link at the top of our webpage. You can also give a one-time donation through the same link. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can call and leave us a message. Phone number is 803-672-0533, or you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can join our Discord server, links found at our webpage. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands to yourself. The All About Nothing podcast is a product of Big Media and produced and engineered by me, Barrett Gruber. Thanks to Cake for our intro music, Sick of You. You can follow Everything Cake the band at cakemusic.com. Thanks to Muff the producer for our outro music. You can follow Muff on Instagram at Muff the producer. You can follow me across social media by visiting Linktree/Barrett Gruber. And you can follow Zach King on Linktree/AAN Zach. Want to support the show? Visit our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com, and become a member. There are several tiers available that give you early access to episodes as well as exclusive content. To find links to our social media, podcast platforms, and merchandise to support the show, as well as past episodes, visit theallaboutnothing.com. If you'd like to be a part of the show, you can email the show at theallaboutnothing.com, or you can call our number and leave a message. Dial 803-672-0533. If the time between these episodes is more than you can handle, check out our sister shows. What the Pod Was That with Carrie, Zach, and myself. Welcome to Wonderland with Ami. Politically Speaking with Erica, Kirsten, and Emily. And Black, White, and Blue in the South with Dr. Jameel Brooks and Bill Kimmler. Please subscribe and share this show. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe and punch that notification bell. Thank you for listening, and hear us next week. The preceding podcast is a product of Big Media, LLC, and is copyright 2025, all rights reserved.